House of the Dragon Season 2 is coming soon, and this shot of Jeyne Arryn of Vale talking to Rhaenyra Targaryen, daughter of Daemon Targaryen and Eyrie, is the shot from Season 2. House Arryn has a long history with House Targaryen, with Rhaenyra Targaryen herself being half Arryn, through her mother who was of House Arryn herself, which is why this great house will support Rhaenyra against Aegon. Rhaenyra's mother was Aemma Arryn, the only child of Lord Roderick Arryn and his second wife Rhaenyra Targaryen. Before we talk about House Arryn's role in Season 2 and in the future of House of the Dragon, let's first take a look at their history. House Arryn of the Eyrie is one of the great houses of Westeros, and is the main noble house in the Vale of Arryn. Their seat is the Eyrie, which is considered impossible to conquer. The Arryn sigil is a blue falcon flying upwards, outlined against a white moon on a blue field, and their words are as high as honor. The Arryns are considered to be descendants from the oldest and purest line of Vandal nobility. Before they became allies, the Targaryens and Arryns were enemies. During Aegon's conquest, the Arryn and the Targaryen fleets fought in a battle in the waters of Ghoultown, resulting in the destruction of the Targaryen fleet and the death of its commanding officer Daemon Velaryon. This in turn led to Arryn's fleet being destroyed, as Rhaenyra Targaryen on her dragon Vhagar burned them in response. Since both fleets were destroyed, the battle was considered a tactical draw, but a strategic victory for Arryns and defeat for the Targaryens, as they were unable to take Ghoultown. Later in Aegon's conquest, Rhaenyra was charged with conquesting the Vale. Shara Arryn, the Queen Regent of the Vale, ruling in the name of her son, the boy King Ronald Arryn, gathered the Vale's army at the Bloody Gate. Rhaenyra, however, flew on Vhagar all the way to the top at the courtyard of the Eyrie, where the little boy king was to make the Vale of Arryn surrender. When Shara returned to the Eyrie, she found her son sitting on Rhaenyra's lap next to Vhagar, asking if he could get a ride on the dragon with her. Once Shara surrendered and bent the knee, Ronald flew twice with Rhaenyra and Vhagar, and the King of Vale became vassal of House Targaryen. The Arryns have since remained defenders of the Vale and wardens of the East for the Iron Throne. Back to the beginning of the House of the Dragon. Upon the death of the old King Jaehaerys in 103 AC, Prince Viserys was crowned king and Aemma Arryn his queen. During the early years of their marriage, Aemma gave birth to a stillborn son and suffered multiple miscarriages, although she also gave birth to a daughter, Rhaenyra Targaryen, in 97 AC, who would later be named the King's heir. Aemma died giving birth to the son Balon, who followed her to the grave a few days later. Following the death of Viserys I in 129 AC, House Arryn became involved in the Dance of the Dragons, where their king, Aemma's daughter Viserys' elder child and proclaimed heir, Princess Rhaenyra, and her younger brother Prince Aegon, Viserys' eldest surviving son, start fighting over their claims to the Iron Throne. In Season 2, we'll finally see the Arryn house with Jeyne Arryn. Jeyne Arryn, called the Maiden of the Vale, is the Lady of the Eyrie and the head of House Arryn, defender of the Vale and Wardness of the East during the reign of King Jaehaerys I, Viserys I, Aegon II, and later even Aegon III Targaryen. More importantly for us right now, she's currently the head of the Arryn family and controls the Vale. Jeyne became Lady of the Eyrie in 97 AC, when she was just 3 years old, after her father and older brothers were killed at the hands of the Stone Crows. During her minority, Lord Yorbert Royce ruled as her regent, and he also went to the Great Council of 101 AC, in which Jeyne's first cousin Aemma Arryn became the queen invading, as her husband Viserys was chosen as the realm's heir. Jeyne's inheritance was twice contested by her cousin Sir Arnold Arryn. Twice she put down the rebellion, imprisoning him in one of the sky cells, while later on he and his descendants were disinherited from the Arryn line of succession by her last testament. Jeyne would later say that thrice her own kin had tried to replace her in rebellion just because she's a woman, which besides sharing blood with Rhaenyra, is also one of the reasons she sides with her, as she sees Aegon as a man who is trying to replace Rhaenyra as the rightful heir, something which she herself experienced on her own skin. After the sudden death of Daemon's first wife, Lady Rhea Royce in 115 AC, her husband Prince Daemon Targaryen appealed to Lady Jeyne in hopes of claiming Runestone for himself. Jeyne not only rejected his claim, but also ordered him to leave the Vale of Arryn and warned him not to return. Despite her dislike for Rhaenyra's husband, Prince Daemon Targaryen, Queen Rhaenyra is an Arryn on her mother's side, and according to Jeyne's own words, women should band together. Jeyne Arryn supports the Blacks and her blood relative Rhaenyra. Queen Rhaenyra even showcases Arryn's support in her personal sigil. Rhaenyra's sigil in the show is a normal Targaryen sigil, while Aegon's is a golden dragon on green. That's now the case in the books. Rhaenyra's personal sigil in the books even consists of the Vale of Arryn. In the books, Rhaenyra's sigil is the standard Targaryen heraldry, a three-headed red dragon on a black field, quartered with the moon and falcon sigil of House Arryn, for her mother Aemma Arryn and for Vale's support, and the silver seahorse on sea green of House Velaryon, for her first husband Rhaenyra Velaryon, as well as for the Velaryons in general, who are among her greatest supporters. During the Dance of the Dragons, her faction uses her personal heraldry as their battle flag. At the start of the Dance of the Dragons in the Season 1 finale, Prince Jacaerys Velaryon flew north on his dragon Vermax to foster allies for the cause of his mother Rhaenyra Targaryen, herself the daughter of Aemma Arryn. Beside going to Winterfell where he will meet with Cregan Stark, Jacaerys was also tasked with going to the Vale to speak with Jeyne, who of course sides with Rhaenyra immediately. Her only request is for dragon riders to protect Eyrie from the Green's own dragons. After Jacaerys agrees, Lady Jeyne and her warriors will kneel before the prince, bringing the Vale into the civil war on the side of Rhaenyra's Blacks. Honoring the promise to Jeyne, Rhaenyra will later in House of the Dragon send her third son Joffrey Velaryon to the Vale, with his young dragon Tyrex, to deter the Greens from attacking the Vale. There are rumors that Rhaenyra's oldest son Jacaerys is the one to send Joffrey to the Vale, just to keep him safe there, as his young dragon is barely large enough to ride and would be no match for any of the Green's dragons in combat. Rhaenyra and Jacaerys don't expect the Greens would attack the Vale. That's why they're sending him there, while also fulfilling the promise to Jeyne. But it must be said that even a young dragon would still make Green enemies, and armies with no dragons change their mind about marching on the Vale. Joffrey is not going to go alone to the Eyrie. With him will be Rhaena, one of Daemon's twin daughters and Joffrey's betrothed. Jeyne will make Rhaena her ward, and in this particular shot from Season 2 you can actually see Jeyne Arryn talking to Rhaena. While the Vale will ultimately suffer no direct attacks in the war, Jeyne will keep true to her word, and she will send Vale forces by sea by way of Gulltown to join Queen Rhaenyra's hosts at King's Landing after the fall of the city. In later seasons of House of the Dragon, following the storming of the Dragon Pit and Rhaenyra's escape from the city, Jeyne would be willing to send more troops to Rhaenyra's aid if only Rhaenyra had transport ships to send. But at this point of the series, Queen Rhaenyra will lack both the ships and the gold. At this desperate moment, Sir Harrold Dark of the Queensguard will even urge Rhaenyra to go to the Vale and seek refuge with Lady Jeyne until they can gather more armies. Rhaenyra will make a grave mistake and refuse this prospect, as she will be determined in her decision to go to Dragonstone, a truly grave mistake. Rhaenyra will there be killed by King Aegon's Sunfire. The remaining Blacks, however, will refuse to surrender. Lady Arryn herself will assemble a host of 8,000 men-at-arms and 1,500 knights in opposition to King Aegon II Targaryen, and she's not the only one who remained loyal to Rhaenyra even after her death in favor to her surviving son. Starks and Tullys remain loyal as well. A new host of Northmen will be assembled to march south led by Cregan Stark himself. Jeyne assembling the army is not the only good news for the Blacks coming from the Vale at this point in time. The Blacks will also gain a new dragon at the Vale. Late in 131 AC, one of Rhaenyra's dragon eggs will finally hatch at Eyrie, and she will name the dragon Morning. This news from the Vale is actually way worse for the Greens than Jeyne sending a new army south, and will greatly trouble Alicent and Aegon, because by that point in the war both sides, the Greens and the Blacks, will have lost almost all their dragons. Alicent Hightower especially will fear that the Blacks' possession of this newborn dragon at the Eyrie will make the small folk see their side as more legitimate. Following the end of the Targaryen civil war and the coronation of King Aegon III Targaryen, Rhaenyra's eldest surviving son Jeyne will become one of the 7 regents of the young king. Jeyne will die shortly after in 134 AC of a chest cold, while at the mother house of Maris in Gulltown. The unmarried Jeyne will pass away in the arms of her dear companion Lady Redford. Before her death, Lady Jeyne will name her distant cousin and the Knight of the Bloody Gate, Sir Joffrey Arryn, as her heir in her last testament. However, a conflict over her succession in the Vale begins upon her death. That's the life and fate of Jeyne Arryn as well as of House Arryn in House of the Dragon Season 2, as well as in later seasons of the show. Jeyne Arryn is finally making an appearance in House of the Dragon, and I cannot wait to see more of it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next one.